Going live here. Perfect. Should be live Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, everything over here. So, uh, again, Zach, love seeing you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Hi, everybody. It's good to be here.
Yeah, everybody jump in the chat, say where you're watching from, maybe even include your experience in real estate. You know, if you have wholesaled before, if you're a newbie just trying to get into it, maybe you have your own portfolio, that's great. Throw it in there. That way we know how to best tailor the questions. And, Zach is a wealth of knowledge over here. So we can dig into any specific niche today. But Zach, again, he's being a warrior for you guys. So thank you so much for coming on here. You woke up, no voice, you're under the weather. I really appreciate your time today. And I know our community really appreciates it. Every time you come on, people have rave reviews and love hearing what you have to say. So appreciate you.
Awesome. Well, thanks. Thanks for the compliments. And yeah, I might have COVID. I lost my voice. It hit me last night, so I've had a fever and lost my voice. And I was like, took a hot shower and drinking tea, trying to get my voice
Yeah.
back. So, but I'm here. I'm here to help. Here to serve.
Yeah, stay healthy and safe, man, and hopefully, quick recovery. And I know that's not fun to deal with. So, appreciate you. And again, everybody, come jump in the chat today. We're going to really focus on. I know Zach. He is great at all things driving for dollars. So obviously, anything D for D focused, definitely can ask that. He's going to share his playbook in general on how to, especially the early days, like how to get on, how to find that first deal, what to do. He himself has an incredible journey on his YouTube channel around, the 40-day challenge. I know I'll pin this as well. If you go to dfdmastery.com/deal machine, we have that all set up for you guys where you can view that 40-day challenge in order and go through and follow his journey where he shares exactly how he did it. Actually, you know what, Zach, do you want to kind of talk about that journey to begin with? So that way, people know what to expect when they're jumping in and following you in your journey there.
Yeah. So the big thing, guys, is when you get started in this, it's there's so much hype around it. And I think a lot of people are fearful that it's not legitimate, it's not real. And so I wanted to do like a little challenge. I wanted to show people and get an over the shoulder look at what it actually took to get started and do real estate wholesaling and to use driving for dollars to the fullest potential. It was really funny, actually. Someone commented on one of my TikToks. They're like, there's no way you make six figures doing driving for dollars. You're doing something else too. And I laughed. I was like, you're right. I'm not doing six figures. I'm doing seven figures from driving for dollars. And anyway, so I wanted to do a challenge. And so the challenge was to take $1,000 and to go somewhere where I'd never been, because it's cheating, right? If I'm where I live, where I'm already doing $1 million a year. So I went to Tampa, Florida, where I'd never been. And the goal is to turn that $1,000 into 40 grand in 40 days. And I documented day by day and showed you guys exactly what it takes. I actually only got 30 days. And then my wife got stuck in Brazil with COVID. And this was about almost a year ago. And I finished out the last 10 days of the challenge in Brazil, doing it virtually, and got 2 more contracts wise in Brazil. So it's pretty awesome content. Not because it's like, oh, look at me. It's because I show you guys how to do it, right? I show you how to do it for free. So yeah, it was pretty awesome experience, honestly.
Yeah. I was going to say, I mean, there are definitely some tearjerker moments in there, throughout that whole journey. I know you do just such a great job of kind of giving that blueprint and showing people the specific process and really making it easy where simple. You're great. You're great at making it simple and straightforward, but it's not easy. It requires the work. It requires the effort. But you're great at showing them the way. And obviously, you're a coach yourself. You're used to doing that with many students as well. If anyone's interested on an actual coach one-on-one on specifically driving for dollars, Zach, if you want to throw that in the chat as well, we'll link to that too. But otherwise, this specific link, you can go in there and follow his journey, learn from yourself for yourself. We wanted to bring him on today just because, well, one, you're a fantastic recurring guest. We've had you on for a couple times doing this. Always have a great time with you, but you're somebody who has had an incredible journey yourself. You were a window washer turned real estate investor, and you took that leap from a successful entrepreneur, in the window washing business into the real estate investing business and scale that to 7 figures, and now help out others do that as well. And you're a family guy. I know we connect on that all the time too, but enjoy having you on. So anybody who wants to jump in, ask questions about all things, driving for dollars, wholesaling, how to get started, we're going to cover that here today as well. But feel free to jump in the chat, ask your questions throughout, say hello and where you're in from. Kermit, good morning from LA as well. Aaron, Troy, thanks for jumping in from all over the US. And Zach, again, happy to have you on. So.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah. So you asked me for a link if they have interest in talking to us about the coaching program.
Yeah, that too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's dftmastery.com/deal machine and then call. So it's that same link. You just add call at the very end. So there right there, that link right there in front of Matt, you just add call there.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. And and Zach, you work with a ton of our Deal Machine members already. So always want to make sure they know you're from us, and that they're going to be really working with you in a special way. So I think
these are my active students right now that I'm coaching.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. I always love that. You've got the appreciation board back there, and you're thinking of them at all times. So,
and the sticky notes are, when I have conversations and things that they're working through. And so it keeps me organized and reminds me who I'm serving. So no, I love coaching. So a couple things, guys, that you could get access to, why questions might be coming in. There's a couple things that I did. I wanted to put out some content fresh on my YouTube channel for 2022, because I know a lot of people set new goals and are really excited about jumping into real estate and real estate wholesaling and really making the year a great year. So a lot of the blueprint stuff, a lot of the stuff that you're going to need to do in the first 40 days, I just put out on my YouTube channel. So like the last 3 or 4 videos, I'm going to pull it up. So the most recent one that we put up 19 hours ago, it's called Financial Freedom in 2022, which is really, the ultimate guide to wholesaling. Right. I really break down wholesaling and what needs to happen in those first 40 days. I talk about the importance of building your cash buyers list first and not last. In another video we put out 5 days ago. And I talked about the real estate market as well. About 2 weeks ago, I put out a video. It's titled, Should I Invest in Real Estate Now or Wait 2022? And so those 3 videos that I've put out over the last couple of weeks are really, really important to catch if you're just jumping into this. So those would be some great videos. Obviously, the dftmastery.com/deal machine to get access to that 40-day challenge. That's the best content you're going to have access to that I can give you for free. But my YouTube channel also has a lot of great stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I love seeing people jump in the chat already here, and keep those coming again. But let's start here. Obviously, this is a pretty broad question, but Jose jumped in and said, "Hey, Zach, how do I get that first deal?" What I know you went through that 40-day challenge in a completely new market. How were you thinking about that? Like, what was the first thing you were doing? Can you kind of talk through those early days and how to jumpstart this year and how to commit to this year and really, make a change in your life for people like Jose?
100%. Well, thanks for the question, Jose. So the big thing, brother, is you got to make sure that you understand what this business is. This business is a marketing business, and our product is real estate, right? The business is not real estate. A lot of people get that confused. What we have to do to be successful is find people that want to pawn shop for their house. We got to find the right people. So there's going to be a lot of people that want to sell their house, but 99% of them are going to want to squeeze every penny out of the sale. Rightly so. That's fine. But there's going to be a handful of people that want to sell at a discount, right? Over 100 people. And so what's important is you get good at finding those people. So when you're starting out in wholesaling and trying to do your first deal, the main priority is to find someone that wants to sell for speed and convenience over price. But once you find that lead, you're going to have to service it. You're going to have to be able to turn that lead into money. And so I think it's very important, essential actually, to set yourself up to win before you generate that lead, before you find that seller. So some of the things you need to have is you need to have your title company lined up. And the title company or escrow company, depending on where you live, that understands wholesaling, that has already worked with wholesalers. So that's the first thing you need to have. You need to have a purchase contract that's assignable, meaning there's a paragraph in that contract that says that you're allowed to assign or sell that purchase contract. I'm sorry, I'm really struggling to speak. I'm doing my best. I'm
Hey,
trying to
you're powering through for us, man. I really
I feel like
appreciate
I'm
it.
hit by a truck. Um, the next thing that you need to have, losing my voice here.
Yeah, as much water as you need to grab. I again, like, well wishes your way. So I really appreciate it. Yeah.
The next thing that you need to have is an assignment contract. So once you sign a purchase agreement with a seller, you're going to need to. Thank you so much, sweetie. My wife's bringing me goodies to get through
Oh my
this.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's an angel. She's been helping me with my TikToks.
Thank you.
she's here editing TikToks today. So once you have your purchase and sell agreement, right, you're also going to need your assignment agreement, which is the contract between you and the end buyer selling that purchase contract. So you got to have the title company and the purchase agreements ready to go, right? You also need to have the third thing, which is your cash buyers list. And I just did a YouTube video on building your cash buyers list. It's so important to have those buyers lined up first. One of my all-time favorite shows is called Undercover Billionaire. I haven't watched the second season, but I watched the first season. And I think it's Frank Stearns is his name, the billionaire. And the whole point of that movie or show, TV show, it's like a reality TV show. They throw in some stupid drama, but other than that, it's amazing, right? And his responsibility is to fly to a whole new market where he's never been. It's kind of where I got the 40-day challenge idea from. He flies there, he gets $100, a smartphone, and a truck, and he has to turn it into $1 million business evaluated by a third party within 90 days. And so he's flipping junk, right? And we're flipping junk houses. It's the same thing if you're going to flip furniture, if you're going to flip houses. The concepts are all the same. And he said something that made me so happy because he went in alignment with what I agree when it comes to cash buyers. It says you're going to flip anything, have your buyers first, right? He says it, a billionaire, much smarter than me, much more successful than me. It is an essential thing to have put in place first, not after. In this YouTube video where I talk about the importance of it, I just had a student a couple months ago, actually, that had a deal. He made $50,000 on his first wholesale deal. Incredible, right? Super exciting. But he didn't have a cash buyers list. He didn't listen to me and build his cash buyers list. So he had to go to another wholesaler in his market. He would have made $75,000 on the deal, but he didn't have buyers. He had to give 25 grand to the other wholesaler. So in 6, 7, 8 hours of work, he gave up $25,000. Right? Think about that. And that's just one of his deals. There's people that will go deal after deal after deal. If you have a cash buyers list, you're going to get more per deal. You're going to move deals that you otherwise wouldn't be able to because you have the right cash buyers. You're going to have motivated buyers just like you have motivated sellers. So those are the first foundational pieces you need to have in place to get your first deal, Jose. So from there, then you start your marketing. Then you start doing driving for dollars. Then you start servicing those leads, right? My other huge suggestion, brother, is to get a coach. And you might hear me say that and think, you're just pitching your program. If you think that's the case, don't join my coaching program. There's other coaches. I'm not the only one, right? Tom Kroll changed my life. Tom Kroll and Cody Hoffine. They were the coaches of Wholesaling Inc. for a time. They're not doing it anymore. But I tried to get into wholesaling. I tried to go from a broke window cleaner to a wholesaler for years, actually, a couple of years. And I struggled, failed miserably, spent tons of money. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars on marketing. Not only did I not do a deal, I never really had a lead. It was horrible. And it wasn't until I found a mentor, until I found a coach, that I was able to really crack the code and have the success. Right? They outlined exactly what I needed to do in the exact order, and I implemented those action steps and leaned on them and asked them questions when I needed help. It's one of the reasons I'm a coach today, because he changed my life so much. I wanted to pay it forward and do it for others as well. So that would be my suggestion, brother, those foundational pieces and get a coach.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yeah, and again, anybody who wants to jump in, ask questions. I've got a ton of questions on my end as well. Excited to kind of dig in on a couple of things you outlined there, Zach. But feel free to jump and say hey, and then we'll keep this an interactive Q&A throughout. But yeah, I think to kind of go from there. I know you touched on that cash buyers list being so important. Can you maybe peel back that next layer as well and talk about tips on building that list, especially when you're a newbie and maybe you don't have the network quite yet?
100%. So in that YouTube video, I talk about, building the cash buyers. There's three ways that I like to build my cash buyers list, three fastest ways. So on the 40-day challenge, I was kind of doing it all at the same time. Day one, I started my marketing, but I had no cash buyers. I didn't have anything lined up, nothing. So I was kind of having to I knew that I had probably about 7 days before I'd have leads. So in those first 7 days, it was really important to build that cash buyers list quickly at the same time I was doing marketing. So my favorite way is trading cash buyers lists. So I used a strategy on the 40-day challenge because I knew it was the fastest and most proven way to build a cash buyers list. I did that here in Utah as well when I first started. So on the 40-day challenge, by the time I was done with the challenge, like within the first 3 weeks, actually, I had about 11,000 emails on my cash buyers list, which is insane, right? So I had cash buyers everywhere from Sarasota up north to like Brooksville, if you guys know the area. So basically an hour south, hour north of Tampa, and all the way over to Orlando. I had cash buyers. And the way I was able to build this list is I started networking with the other wholesalers and the other investors in the area. And I'd called them up. And you might think, oh, well, they only talk to you because you're Zack Boothe. It's like, well, that helped me, right? I'm not going to lie, that helped me. But I did it in Utah before I was Zack Boothe, right? Before I had ever really even done deals. What I did is I called the wholesalers and I said, hey, do you want to build your cash buyers list? Do you want to increase your cash buyers list? Every wholesaler wants to increase their cash buyers list, because more proven cash buyers is going to equal bigger deals. It's going to be more money per deal. It's going to be able to move deals you wouldn't be able to move in the first place, right? And so every wholesaler wants to build their cash buyers list. So I went to a wholesaler and said, do you want to build your cash buyers list? Their answer is usually always yes. Every once in a while, you have someone that doesn't get it, and they say, oh, I have 3 cash buyers I work with. I don't want any more. It's like, okay, I'm glad you like throwing money away. But most of them say yes, right? And so once I have asked that question, then I say, okay, great. What is the amount of cash buyers that you have now, right? They'll usually tell you, I don't know, it's probably around 2,000-3,000, whatever that is. You say, okay, great. Well, I'm working on trading some cash buyers lists. I have some other potential cash or wholesalers that are trading cash buyers lists with me. You don't have to send it to me yet, but would you be willing to trade your cash buyers list? They're like, yeah, I'd probably be willing to trade it. How many do you have? It's like, well, I'll come back to you when I have much more than 2,000. How about that? And they'll be like, okay, sounds great. So now you just have Bob, the wholesaler, on board with 2,000 to 3,000 cash buyers. Then you go to the next one, you have the same exact conversation. But this time when they say, well, how many cash buyers do you have? Well, I've got one other wholesaler on board, but I can get more. I just want to make sure you get much more than you give, right? Then what you do is you get all these wholesalers on board. They all send you their cash buyers list. You remove duplicates and you send them the new revised and meaty cash buyers list. Well, guess what? You get it as well, right? So that's how I was able to build that cash buyers list quickly. That's my favorite way. It's how I built my cash buyers list, both here in Utah before I knew anything, and then also how I built it in Tampa. On the YouTube video, I go into 2 more ways. One of them is the RIA groups and Facebook groups and online. And then, going to auctions is one of my other favorite ways. But I break that down in that YouTube video if you want to understand more exactly how I do it.
Yeah, I mean, I love the one where you're saying, "Hey, essentially, be the connector, be that the person creating the web of an entire network for people, and you're giving out so much more value than you're even getting on a one-on-one basis. But if you can be that community builder for everyone, I mean, that's incredibly valuable for you and for everybody in that network. So, love that idea. I know within the Deal Machine app as well, if anybody's using Deal Machine currently, if you go under the More option and then Selling tab, whenever you mark a property under contract within Deal Machine, it'll automatically create a landing page for that property, and that landing page you can customize for any details that you need around that deal. And when you send out that landing page, it's just a link that it automatically generates. That is something that. Hopefully you can hear me here, Jose. That's something that whenever you have that landing page link, you can send that out to your cash buyers list and start to collect. It's essentially a lead capture form, so you can start to be able to see people coming in, messaging you, looking incredibly professional, do it in a way that's going to save you a ton of time. You're sending out something that looks really legit. And helps reflect you as a credible investor, so or wholesaler. So we try to build out features based on what you guys have said is valuable, and that's one of the more recent ones that people can take advantage of. And that comes with every single Deal Machine plan. So it's an additional feature for everybody. So I have a couple of things here. Let's see. Aaron went to that next step and said, "Hey, he's been actually driving dollars. He's got 250 leads. What should he do next? What is the kind of game plan with what to do with those leads? How to market to sellers? How to get in touch? You can elaborate on that a little bit, Zach?"
Yeah. So I'm a big believer that your marketing never stops. Right? There's a lot of wholesalers that their businesses are like roller coasters. They do a couple deals and they spend a bunch of money on marketing. Once they have the money, and then they stop their marketing because they're out of money, and then they do a bunch more marketing, and then they get or they get a deal, and then they do a bunch, and it's like they don't feel like they're ever getting ahead. So one of the big mistakes that I see people make is they go out and they add a bunch of properties, and then they reach out to the list, and then they don't go out and add any more to their list for a while. Right? What's so important, Aaron, is that you stay consistent to your marketing. There's a great book. It's called Multifamily Millions. And in there, he says that real estate investing is marketing. Our product is real estate. And if we don't get that in between our two ears, we won't be in business for long. And so what I'm trying to tell you is how important it is to set a goal of how many addresses you're going to add to your marketing list every single week consistently. And if you can't do it consistently, you put someone else in place to do it consistently for you. I don't do the driving anymore. I hadn't done the driving in years, except for the 40-day challenge. And we add 2,000 properties to our marketing list every single week here in Utah. We're shipping someone out to take over Tampa and kind of turn that into our second market, since I already did all the work of building the lists and everything else down there. But we're going to have him add 1,500 properties per week. So what's important is you're at any properties with any physical signs of neglect. So you should be adding anywhere between 50 to 100 properties every single hour of driving. That's possible by using the tap to add version on Deal Machine. I don't stop and take pictures. I don't use the pin mode. I use tap to add. So what's important is you go, okay, I can drive 3 hours a week, or I can afford to market to this many properties every single week. And then you set your goal to that many properties. Once you have your addresses, you then can reach out to them. And I use 3 different strategies. Okay. I use texting, postcards, and cold calling. My most profitable marketing strategy is postcards. It's my most profitable by far. So should I share my KPIs on that? Do you think they'd want to see that? My exact numbers?
Yeah, I was going to say you're great at breaking down, an analytical thought process behind that. If you want to show that off.
Yeah. So one thing, guys, to keep in mind is I don't go on appointments. I don't do the marketing. I literally spend 4 to 5 hours a week on my wholesale business, and I spend all of my time coaching and doing things like this. It's where it's where I get my fulfillment. I love it. Right? I love helping others because this business literally completely changed everything for me. And I love to see it do the same for others. And so to me, like, I don't have to work anymore. I really don't. But I love coaching. So the way I'm able to run my business without doing the work and having everyone else do it, and I don't even have to be in the office. I was gone for 2 months this year for the 40-day challenge, and then getting stuck in Brazil for a month with my family because of COVID. And then on top of that, I took most of September off as well because I'm a major outdoorsman, and September's the time to be in the mountains. And anyways, the only way that's possible is having a KPI sheet or key performance indicators or your numbers, and knowing what's working, what's not working, being able to see when there's broken tech, being able to see when employees are not working or not doing their job. And I do this with my KPIs. Is there any way I can share my screen so people can just like actually see my numbers?
Yeah, I think it should be able to on here on StreamYard here.
I think people would really appreciate that. I don't think I've ever like publicly just showed my numbers.
Just showed off the screen. I mean, you're great at making a systematized approach to be able to say like, hey, here's the return on investment of each of these channels, and provide people a framework on how to evaluate their different marketing channels. So Kermit Rice as well. I know you asked, is it best to call each cash buyer to earn their business? I think Zack did a great job of giving a blueprint there of, being the connector between all of the cash buyers, all the, wholesalers.
I think what he's asking there, Matt, is once you build those cash buyers lists without, and you hadn't even talked to them before, you just gathered them up.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Should you reach out to them individually? I don't. Right? Okay. I don't. Not at all. I mean, those that start reaching out to us when we email blast them and text blast them with the deal, then we reach out. So
okay, there you go.
I'm not as familiar with StreamYard. Share.
Yeah, it should be. There we go.
Screen sharing is easiest with 2 monitors.
Cool. Glad you got Kermit's question interpreted correctly. There we go.
All right. Can you see that? Did that pull that up?
It did not, for whatever reason. Did that? Got to hit share screen, and then should give you an option here, hopefully.
So share screen sharing tips. Okay. Screen 2, share. Chrome has lost permission to capture your screen.
Oh no.
All right. Well, what I'll do is I'll just read them off to you. Okay. I'm going to read them off. So if you guys want to get a pen and paper to write these down so you can have them, this is important stuff.
Do your own math. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm going to go through my texting to my driving for dollars list just here in Utah. Okay. So I sent 92,706 text messages. That cost me roughly $12,000. Okay. I got 3,057 responses, 86 leads, 38 appointments, and 10 contracts, and I made $152,000. So my net profit was $139,885.45 is what I made. And this is just my marketing expenses. I have like rentals or my office space lease and some other fixed costs. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this is majority profits, right? And I pay a team to service these leads and stuff, so they get commissions. But I make about 45% profit in this company, and I do profit sharing. So my take home's roughly 30%, just so people understand, right? Okay, cold calling. We cold called for 1,689 hours, and paying my cold callers and Mojo. That is, I spent about $32,000 or so, $31,500. And then let's see, I got 9,568 responses. 385 leads. I only got 20 appointments, so quality of the leads cold calling are not as good. I got 5 contracts and made $134,500. My net profit was about 103,000 off of cold calling.
Yep.
Postcards. I sent 132,926 postcards. It cost me $48,749.44, and it generated 332 responses. Is all very low, very low response rate, and that's what throws people off with postcards. It's less than a 1%
Quality
response.
over quantity.
Yeah, so you get very little response, but you get a lot of quality leads. I mean, I got 75 leads out of that with 69 appointments. So my appointment to my lead ratio is extremely high on postcards. It's the
Yep.
highest quality lead we have. Of those 69 appointments, we got 17 contracts, and it generated $416,000. So my net profit was like 367 grand on that, and change. So,
Huh.
I prefer postcards just because I spend the least to make the most, and it's easy. It's easy to do. Um, but you can see the massive volumes. So you might think, well, how are you doing that? Well, I'm sending 2 rounds of postcards to my Driving for Dollars list, and I redrive every single area every 6 months, right? So you might be like, there's no way you can add 2,000 properties every single week and not hit your entire market. That's right. We hit it every 6 months, right?
Yeah,
So
that's amazing. You've got, 75 leads with 69 appointments out of that. I mean, like that just shows the power of that inbound, inbound lead, like you said, where, that's what we teach people in general around Deal Machine is saying like, hey, our most successful members, they're doing a combo of that short-term outreach via SMS and call where they can reach out and get a quick feedback loop and to qualify that lead and get on their radar. And
yeah,
then they're combining that with that long-term nurture with those consistent postcards like you're talking about, where it's high volume, it's more expensive because of that. But when they have the right timing and you might be nurturing the right lead because it's you're driving for dollars, you're looking for these high, super potentially motivated leads where it's something physically wrong with that property, but it's a matter of timing. And if you can stay top of mind and 3-6 months, a year down the road, when the timing is right, you're the one that they think of first because you're the one that's been nurturing that lead that whole time. Those are the super super hot leads that, like you said, when they call you, they're ready to have an appointment. And you've got the majority of your contracts coming from that 17 versus 15 out of SMS and text combined, or text and call combined. So yeah, smart.
love it.
Fantastic. And anything else there? I had a couple other questions here to get to for you.
I think we can keep going.
Perfect. Again, feel free to jump in the chat, say hello, say where you're calling in from, share with us, where you are on your journey within real estate investing, and we're happy to tailor this to fit, exactly what you're dealing with next and what challenge you're trying to overcome. But Jose, great follow-up question here, talking about the mentality you need while on that journey for your first deal. And I know you had moments in your 40K challenge where you're going into a brand new market. It's essentially your first deal, in that new market. You're starting from scratch. You dealt with a lot of adversity and being able to it's not always easy. So can you maybe talk through the mentality behind that and how you find success through that and what you do when times can be discouraging?
Well, this is an interesting one because I have a couple thoughts on this. The first one I'm going to share is something that I heard Elon Musk say. Elon Musk was doing a Q&A, not like this, it was much bigger.
Hey,
Right?
we've got a mighty group here. It's great. They're very asking great questions. Yeah.
No, it's great questions, but he got a similar question to this, and he said, someone asked him, and they said, what advice would you give me to be motivated? And he said, well, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you need motivating, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur, right? It was a little harsh. And when it comes to being an entrepreneur in any business, it requires a lot of self-discipline, right? And there's moments that it's going to suck. right? It's honestly not that glorious. Like, and a lot of what makes you successful is not really that glorious. On the 40-day challenge, there was a 4-day stint that I never left the house. I never turned off the cold caller. I was cold calling while I was cooking. I got on the dialer from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. It sucked. It was horrible. I didn't see the sun for 4 days because I just couldn't get a lead, right? But sometimes that's what it takes, right? But my other mentor, Tom Kroll, taught me something. He says this is his quote. He said hustle is a season, not a lifestyle. But when you are starting a new business, that is a season of hustle, and it's a lot of hard work and it's a grind. And you have to be prepared for that. But keep in mind, the only people that fail are those that stop, those that give up, those that quit, right? Because if you never quit, you're in process of accomplishing your goal. A mentor and a guide will speed that up for you, right? Having other people around you that are going through the same things and have done the same things and can give you advice so you don't have to make all the mistakes you're, on your own is really going to speed that up. So that's the other piece of advice I'd give. The other thing that I will tell you is this might help you stay motivated. Tony Robbins is a hero of mine, and I love and respect who he is and what he's done for so many people, including myself. So he talks about a cycle of success. Um, uh, I can't remember what he calls it, but you could probably Google it and find him talking about it. But basically, he talks about the importance of belief, in what you're trying to do, having confidence and complete faith in what you're doing. Because if you don't have a massive amount of belief and faith in what you're about to do, let's say it's real estate wholesaling, you're going to give half-hearted effort because you're like, well, it might not work. You're going to give ultimatums like, well, if I don't do a deal in 3 months, then I'll just go do something else, right? If you have that kind of thought process and belief going in, you're going to give half-hearted effort. You give half-hearted effort, your results will match your effort, and they won't be very good. And then you'll be like, see, I knew that it wasn't possible. See, I knew that it was a scam. See, I knew that it was too good to be true. See, I knew I wasn't smart enough. And you're going to spiral downwards, right? You're going to have even less confidence and even less belief in yourself. But I can promise you this, if you go at it with 110%, right, and you believe in it and you go, no, I'm going to be successful, right? I will do it or I will die trying. I will do it until I die, right? If you go at it like that, if you go at it as if your family's lives depended on it, right, you will give way more effort than anyone else will be willing to give. You will cold call for 4 days straight. You won't leave your house. You won't hang out with friends, right? You will work your butt off. And if you give that kind of effort, you're going to get results. You're going to be like, see, I knew I could do it, right? And you're going to spiral upwards with that confidence. The problem is people go in it half-heartedly, and that's a huge mistake. So my suggestion to you, brother, is to understand that you can do it, right? Like, I don't believe I'm anyone special. I have a massive work ethic. I do know that about myself, and I've had that for a long time. But I think back to my journey as an entrepreneur, and I started my first business when I was 17. On my 18th birthday, I got my first business license and got licensed and insured to get my biggest contract, or to get the bigger contracts with banks and credit unions to be able to get route work for my window cleaning company. I had employees when I was 17 years old. My senior year of high school, I was writing off my own work release hours um, to work for myself, right? Because I had my own business license. My dad cut me off financially when I was 16. I was responsible to take care of myself at a very young age. And when I started that first business, I went for it because I had to. I had to play basketball and cover all of my expenses and to take girls on dates. There was no other choice. And it was the greatest gift that was ever given to me because at a young age, I already had that confidence. I had to go door to door, do door to door sales to get my first window cleaning clients. And I went straight from my parents' house and I have money for gas. So I had to walk from my parents' house to get my first clients, walk all the way back, get my truck, and then go wash the windows, right, to get my gas money to really get started, right? And so my journey as an entrepreneur has been going for a long time. A lot of people look at me and go, oh, wow, Zach, in 5 years, you have a multi-million-dollar wholesaling business. But what they don't see is the years and years and years and years of grinding and trying to figure this out and figure out what it takes to be successful, right? And so never give up, because if you never give up, you'll find success.
Yeah, Zach, I appreciate you, putting that in perspective for everyone, and it's inspiring to hear, especially this time of year when people are changing habits, they're making commitments for this year. So anything that we can do to be helpful on our end, I'm just matt@dealmachine.com. Definitely feel free to reach out to me directly as well, and happy to give advice there on finding this first deal. But I know on here, I loved Aderloo question here for the more advanced wholesaler and somebody who's doing deals. They did 8 deals last year. They said, we're currently spending $4K a month on mailers. What process can we put in place to consistently close deal each month? Is there, I know, without having the follow-up, the opportunity for follow-up questions here necessarily, what would you recommend, Zach, that they look to kind of take their business to the next level?
So the big thing is looking at KPIs, right? So if you've been with us, maybe you just jumped in, I'm not sure, but I recently just on this call.
We watched the replay too. So
okay, yeah. So on the replay, I broke down exactly what I'm spending, right? And where I'm spending it and how many responses and leads and appointments and contracts to generate money. And what's important is you understand that your business is a very simple funnel. All businesses are, right? Imagine a funnel. Okay, see my hands here. They're a nice little funnel. Top end of that funnel is your outreach, right? Whether that's texting, postcards, cold calling, a driving for dollars list, a notice of default list, I don't care, right? I do driving for dollars because it's the best list. I've tested them all. Someone asked, I saw in here if we had done notice of default list. Yeah, but it's not as good. Like everyone has that list, right?
Yeah.
The driving for dollars list is the best. So that's what I do at the top end of my funnel, a whole bunch of it, right? And so if you're trying to increase how many people you get contracts or how many deals you're doing, that's a bottom end of your funnel. What's at the top end of your funnel? It's how much marketing you do, right? So what's important is you're tracking those KPIs, you're tracking those numbers. Those numbers you need to track is your total input at the top, text messages, cold calls, postcards, how many? And we do this every single week. I spend an hour every single week breaking down the KPIs in my wholesaling business. So I want to make sure they're as accurate as possible. I look for typos. I look to make sure that our ratios are at our averages, right? And then I put all of those weekly totals into the month, into the year, so I can see what's working and what's not working. And if I want to increase what's happening at the bottom end of the funnel, I just increase what's happening at the top end. And if those ratios stay the same, I'm going to increase the deals at the bottom. It's very simple, right? It's really not that complicated. But what will happen is, let's say you, gosh dang, dude, I wish I could talk.
Hey man, you've been powering through this hour here, so I appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries. I love this stuff, dude. I'm dying and I'll be talking about it. Then I woke up at 3 and I was like thinking up a new sales pitch. Like, anyway,
just ready to go. Yeah,
I'm an idiot. So when you increase the top end of that funnel, let's say you increase the amount of leads that you're generating because you increase how many postcards you're sending. Okay, well, now you're going to increase leads, right? But we got to make sure you're still getting on the same amount of, or getting on more appointments as well. Because what will happen is your acquisition managers, your acquisitions teams will become overwhelmed if you increase leads. So just because you increase your marketing doesn't mean it's going to increase, because now you have what they call a bottleneck, right? You have more leads, but you're not getting on more appointments. So you got to make sure your appointment ratios are staying the same, your lead to appointment ratios. So every column here that I have on my KPIs, from the top end of the funnel for the quantity to the response, to the leads, to the appointments, to the contracts, is tracked. And each one of those transitions, I know my percentage, my conversion percentage. And you want to watch that, because as you increase the top end of that funnel, you'll create bottlenecks. And so it's a dance as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it's a dance between increasing the top end of that funnel and fixing bottlenecks, increasing the top end of that funnel, fixing the bottlenecks, right? And then as you're doing that, it's also very important to take profits. So a lot of people just focus on that gross number and dump everything back into their business and don't pay themselves anything. I increased my net worth by $1.3 million this year. How cool is that? Right? Like, that's really what's most important here. We build businesses that serve us and our families, not businesses that we serve. So my suggestion is you get good KPIs here, right? And you understand that funnel that you're building. And then also that you read a book called Profits First to make sure that you're taking home as much of that money you're generating as possible. So
Love it. Yeah. I appreciate you answering Troy's question as well here. And again, driving for dollars is the thing we talk about, thing you are an expert in. I know we only have about 3 more minutes here today. So Zach, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on again. Wanted to maybe leave with this last one too. I know you, Al Entrepreneur here asked, do your leads all get a call, text, and mailer? Maybe talk about the lead scoring process you go through, or how you just think through how to spend your time when it comes to marketing to leads.
Yeah. So my suggestion, if you're just starting out, is pick one outreach strategy, just one, right? Because if you do a whole bunch of stuff and do none of it well, it's not going to help you. You're better off to do one outreach strategy. I started with postcards. I'd made like $400,000 through postcards before I added any other outreach strategies. Now I have a team that does it all. I have a full cold calling team, and I have someone that does my texting, and I have someone that sends all my postcards and services, all of the marketing for me. So it's a little, my position may be a little different than yours. So if you're just starting, start with one, right? I prefer postcards because there's no, I did cold calling on the 40-day challenge because I had to get people on the phone yesterday, right? It was time sensitive. I needed leads as fast as possible. But some of the problems with cold calling is you need some sales skills. If you don't really have the ability, if you've never done door-to-door sales, if you never had any sales skills, I mean, I sold religion for 2 years in Brazil, right? I have some sales skills. And so it's one of those things that, one person on the cold call, on the dialer cold calling is going to generate more leads and have more success than another person because of skill, right? Texting is very similar as well. It's kind of a skill thing as well. There's communication and back and forth. But with a postcard, kind of like Matt said before, you just send a postcard. it's pretty easy, right?
Pretty scalable. Yeah.
And if they call you, and then you just talk to them about what they want going on. And the cool thing is they'll hold on to that postcard until they're ready to sell. A lot of times people will hold postcards for over a year before they call it, right? I had a student that did postcards for like 3-4 months. He's like, oh, they're not profitable. But over the next 6 months after that, he had like 4 or 5 deals come through. And he's like, dude, this is the most profitable list I have. And I shut it off for like 4 or 5 months. He's like, I'm an idiot. Right? So it's not an instant thing with postcards, but it's going to be very profitable over the long term. It's a long-term play. Okay. So I prefer postcards. That's what I'd stick with. But if you're more advanced and you're wanting to kind of do what I do, so what I teach my Driving for Dollars Mastery students, all this stuff I break down for my students step by step, exactly how we do this. But I send text and cold call all at the same time. As soon as we upload a list, we do 3 cold call attempts. We send 2 text message attempts. Whoever we cannot get a hold of, they get 2 postcards, one immediately and then one 2 months later. And that usually takes us about 4 or 5 months to do all of that marketing to that list. But like I said, every 6 months we repeat and drive that area again.
Fantastic, man. Well, people have been, one, fantastic questions from the community. I appreciate all of your time, coming on and spending your afternoon with us. Zack as well. People, have multiple people coming on. Love Zack Boothe. This live is fire. So we've got, people coming in, jumping in the chat and enjoying this afternoon too. I know, Zack, obviously you're a coach yourself. You're phenomenal. Work with a ton of our Deal Machine members. If anybody's interested in his coaching as well, feel free to just go to that dfdmastery.com/deal machine call. He'll be able to treat you right, know that you're coming from us. Would love to be able to, again, he coaches people on how to integrate Deal Machine into his coaching. So Zack's phenomenal there. Would highly recommend reaching out to him there. If you just do dfdmastery.com/deal machine, that'll get you access to the 40-day challenge where you can go through and see Zack's journey and the playbook he talks about today, and him applying that in real time and going through those hardships and pushing through and coming out the other side with fantastic success. So Zack, very, very appreciative of your time, man. I know we got to run here, but thank you so much for doing this while also not feeling fantastic. But you can't even tell. You're you come and shine a light for everybody here. So appreciate that.
Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody. Sorry that my voice. Hopefully you guys heard everything and understood.
We'll throw some captions there, and you're good to go. So, well, happy New Year again. Appreciate you. We'll have to do this again soon, and get some sleep and get drink some water, get better.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Happy New Year's. I hope you guys crush this year. It's gonna be a good one.
Thanks, everybody.